Hello, everybody, and indeed, welcome to another edition of Who's Your Hometown Heroes. I'm Tony Val, and today my guest is Scott Williams. Scott is co-founder, along with his wife, of Catholic Concepts. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Scott Williams. Who's Your Hometown Heroes is sponsored by Prometheus Consulting. Prometheus is Indy's most trusted name in outsourced IT support. Well, Scott, welcome to the show.
It's a joy to be here. Thanks for having me, Tony.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Here's where I wanted to start with you, Scott, because to me, you have such an interesting story in that it's almost like you had this earlier career and then it completely changed. And I find that kind of fascinating. So where I wanted to start is, I guess, first of all, why don't you tell me a little bit about your youth ministry days, that first part of your career?
Yeah. So I worked, my first job out of college was actually as a wine salesman. I worked for a local alcohol distributor, and I was a wine sales rep. I'd go to grocery stores and merchandise and do all that. I did that for about 9 months, and I felt like I enjoyed the process of tactical sales, and I learned a lot of great skills there, but I wasn't wildly passionate about the wine industry in particular. And I had started working in youth ministry on like a volunteer basis at my home parish. My pastor asked me if I would be like a small group leader, and I didn't think I'd like it, but I didn't really have a good reason to say no. So I decided I would give it a try, and ended up just falling in love with that part of ministry. I loved being on the journey with young people, and I just had this pull to want to work full time for the church and to really give the gifts and talents that I had to the church. So I applied to be a youth ministry coordinator at a parish and got the job. So I did that for about 3 years, and then I worked at the Archdiocese of Indianapolis, and I was the director of youth ministry and the coordinator of youth ministry there for about 6 years. So I've kind of worked at everything from a volunteer in youth ministry to a diocesan director. So,
yeah, that's really interesting. I'm curious, did you worry that there was something like maybe you didn't have enough background to be qualified to do that? What qualifies one to be a youth minister other than when your pastor asks you to please do this? That's a pretty good vote of confidence.
Yeah. I mean, my pastor asked me to do it on a volunteer basis at my home parish, but I applied and got a job offer at another parish. So, and I didn't necessarily have any real strong theological or technical qualifications for it, but I was very passionate about discipleship and being on a journey with young people. And those are soft skills and things that you're not going to really learn from, going to school for theology necessarily. So he was very invested in allowing me for the opportunity to seek professional development and do the things that I needed to be able to do that well.
Yeah, I'm sure he could tell. Like you do have like an aura about you, or that maybe I would say this energy. I could totally see you being in youth ministry. So, so in one sense, it would seem like, wow, you ended up exactly where you need to be. I'm sure you had a gift for that. But now you're not in youth ministry. You're running Catholic Concepts. So tell us a little bit about what Catholic Concepts does. But I also want to hear about how did that all happen?
Yeah. So Catholic Concepts is the umbrella company that a few other brands live under, if you will. But we got our start in which is still our flagship brand, if you will, which is Sock Religious, which is a Catholic sock company. To briefly go over the other things that we do, we have a Catholic home goods company that is called Our Holy Home. And that is like subtle art imagery of like home good items. So everything from like coasters that have like Eucharistic symbols in it, and throw pillows, blankets, things that can start a conversation, but it's not so over the top overt that it is a Catholic image. So it's not iconography all over your home, but it is um, a gentle introduction to a conversation. And then we have Four Marks Printing, which is where we do all of our custom apparel and merchandise. So we do custom printing for Catholic schools and parishes and national organizations, everything from the largest conferences. We have a full screen printing operation all the way down to we specialize in online stores. We can do one-off prints for a Catholic school chess club if they want to, but we kind of cater that into the Catholic market. And then a couple of other smaller brands ventures that we're going into as well. But Sacrilegious is where it all really began from the entrepreneurial side of this business. And I worked, full time at the diocese at the time, and socks were my fun things because that was like a suit and tie environment, right? So you'd go to the chancery offices, and it would be a shirt and tie would be kind of the normal dress that people would wear, and socks became the fun thing that I would wear. So I'd wear donut socks on National Donut Day, or I'd wear my patriotic socks on or American flag socks on patriotic holidays. And one day my wife and I were headed to Chicago, and we thought, well, wouldn't it be funny if we put saints on socks and celebrated the feast days in the church? Was really the genesis story of that idea. And we took a small batch of socks that we designed pretty quickly and had manufactured overseas to the National Catholic Youth Conference, and we sold out in about 8 show hours. And we realized that there was something here. There was a market
here. Yeah.
that we needed to pay attention to.
Wow. I'm curious, Scott, when you guys ran that first batch and put up your shingle, so to speak, did you have an inkling that maybe this could turn into something, or was it kind of just a lark?
I was really fascinated in the idea, and I was confident that there wasn't anybody else doing that in this space. So I had a good idea that this could be something. I don't know if I would have guessed that it would have been as much as it is today, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I could see that. I'm sure there was an element of surprise. It occurs to me that there's something about socks. Like, I'm just thinking back to, as you were mentioning, wearing, being kind of known for wearing donut socks on donut days. I've actually had a few friends over the years who are kind of known for wearing festive socks.
Yeah.
And there's something oddly joyous about that. I've never really thought about that, but it's always very well received.
It is. And it starts a conversation too, right? It's usually something that, people talk about and people notice. And that's really what we want to do as an organization, as a company, is we want to be able to spark those conversations where it makes it a little bit more natural and a little bit easier to talk about our faith and to talk about our spiritual journey, because that's how we are able to share and evangelize.
So, I pulled off of one of your socials, and this is a quote. It says, starting conversations through joyful products. Yeah. Basically what you just said. So I gather this is a very strong mission for you guys. This is maybe really what you're all about.
It is. I mean, everything kind of points in some way, shape, or form to the Great Commission. So, Jesus told us to go out and make disciples of all nations. And that was a universal call to all of us to do that. When I worked full time in youth ministry, I loved being on the journey with people. I loved talking with them about where they were. I loved all of that. What I wasn't wildly good at was that first part, like engaging in that conversation and putting myself out there. It's easy for me to have a conversation about my own journey, but really starting the conversation, in my opinion, or at least for my personality, was really the hardest part. So if you have something to start that conversation or spark it, it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, very interesting. And as you were talking about your home products company, and I think you mentioned things like blankets, etc.
Yeah.
It made me think about sports fans. You know, if I go to a friend's home for the first time and I see a Pittsburgh Steelers blanket,
Hmm.
well, then it's a shorthand. I know they're a Steelers fan, probably a
Yeah.
pretty big Steelers fan. So I could see how that would work. Someone with a, I don't know, let's say a Mother Teresa blanket or something.
Yeah.
That I could see how that would spark a conversation.
Yeah. We wear things that we're passionate about. And we have things around our home that we love, or they wouldn't be around, right?
Yes.
And we want to be able to share that with people. We want to be able to tell people about it. Um, but we try to do that in an approachable way and not something that's going to turn people away from those conversations.
Yes. Well, you know, it seems to me that you guys a little bit have lightning in a bottle because as you said just a moment ago, it seems like there wasn't anyone doing this sort of thing.
Hmm.
Certainly not to the level Catholic Concepts is. Uh, as I was preparing for your interview, Scott, I was thinking about all those positive, and that's the entrepreneur in me. You know, I was
Hmm.
thinking, oh my gosh, this is so great. But
Yeah.
then I started to think about what you're actually doing, and which is basically manufacturing, and in a sense, you're in fashion,
Hmm.
and there are so many elements to your business. You have to understand how to create these products, a silk screening for your t-shirts. Uh, I don't even know what the term is for making your socks. Is there what would that be?
It'd be knitting. Yeah. Knitting
Knitting.
socks. Yeah.
That shows you what I know.
Yeah.
But then you have sales, marketing, all this. So then I started to feel sorry for you actually. How I'm curious, how much of a bucking bronco is running this organization? And I assume many of these things you had no experience in before you started.
Yeah. And I think that's a good insight, and you've definitely kind of hit the nail on the head. I did not know how to print T-shirts. I did not know how to make socks. And I never took a lot of marketing classes in my college career. Um, so a lot of it, I would say, is on the job training. It was things that I need to learn the basics on. But I've also done a pretty good job of being able to recruit and hire people that are much more experts in the field than I am. I could probably turn on a sock machine and I can tell you the general elements that makes a sock. But I'm not going to be the person out there diagnosing the issues and fixing all of the machinery. I'm pretty well adept in marketing, and I understand the general structure of it. But I'm not going to be our main media buyer and going to be pulling all the levers to make things happen. Um, I I try to find people that are really good at those roles and give them space and trust them to do it well.
That sounds pretty darn sensible to me. It sounds
Hmm.
like you figured out when you're the owner, you have to delegate. You have to rely on people.
Yeah, and that's the hardest part, I think,
Yeah.
because I've done some aspect of everything in our company, and it's hard to let go. But as soon as every time I do let go of something, I wish I would have done it sooner, probably. So.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. I do think in your marketing, as I've been combing through your social media and so forth,
Hmm.
it really does come through that you have quite a culture. There's an energy amongst your staff.
Hmm.
And I pulled a quote from your social stream. Uh, it said we take pride in being a company that gets Catholicism,
Yeah.
while many of our team are not Catholic. So I'm curious to hear about you. And I'm a cradle Catholic. What do you mean by getting Catholicism? What does that look like?
Yeah. I would say that in no way, shape, or form do we require people to be Catholic to work here. We have a lot of people on our team that aren't. But everybody that is here understands what the mission of our company is, and they understand uh, in some aspects the nuances of the Catholic Church that they need to for their role in their job. Um, Something that we've done in the past year is we started taking retreats as a company. And while not everybody in our company is Catholic, the way that we've structured it is in the morning we go and we have visited some of the historic churches in our community. So we went to Sacred Heart the first time, and then we went to St. John the Evangelist this last time. And we've gotten a tour of the church, and we've learned a little bit about uh, how the church has played a history in the community and what it means in the context of the Catholic faith. And we also got to admire the beauty of those churches and the art and the stained glass and everything that goes into that. And then in the afternoon we do something fun and team building and lunch and go play, back nine or whatever. So those would be. But what we've done is we've allowed our both our Catholic and our non-Catholic team members to come and experience the beauty of the church, because ultimately they've seen these designs and socks and t-shirts and have seen these images of saints and the quotes, but they might not all understand what those are. But if you get to come and experience it in another way, that's been a unique opportunity for us. But on the other side of things, like in the world of our custom printing side of our business, anybody can get a T-shirt printed anywhere that they want to. There's thousands of choices out there, and there's a ton of really great local options as well. And in no way, shape, or form do we ever want to take business away from somebody else that's had a long-standing positive relationship with another shop. We're not in the business of doing that. Um, but in the world of our sales and our processes that we've developed, not everybody understands the Catholic Church the way we do. So I worked full time for the church for a long time. Our chief operating officer worked in Catholic education for 16 years, and there's certain things about the way that the church functions, both at the local parish level, the diocesan level, and a school level, that is wildly different than corporate America in the way that policies and procedures are typically built around screen print shops, and we understand some of those differences and can really cater to them in a way that other places might not be able to serve them as well. So that's where we've kind of dug out a unique niche and kind of put a moat around it.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. And I also think there's a simple, basic truism, which is people like to do business with like-minded people.
Hmm.
So what's great about working with other Catholics is you just kind of you know that your starting point is similar. You're starting from similar faith, and it's just an easier place to start.
Yeah,
All other things being equal, I think.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, while our marketing strategies might be aimed towards Catholic schools and parishes and things like that, there's lots of other secular businesses that we work with locally that just happen to know that we're a Catholic company and want to work with like-minded people, and we're always happy to do that too.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about this piece of kind of the magic of Catholic concepts, the mission of helping spread the word. I'll just share with you. I feel like we Catholics are we're not very strong in the evangelization front. We're not trying to change anyone. We're not trying to I think mostly we live by example, and we're not preachy people at all.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it's nice that you're going part of the way to get those conversations going, because for sure there are people who could really benefit from what the Catholic Church is providing.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I guess we're probably not known for that particularly. We don't have as many, street corner preachers
Oh,
and things like that.
yes.
Um, but our story is about accompaniment. Like the path to evangelization is about walking next to someone on one. And it's not that we're not evangelistic type of people, because we are called by that, uh, by name, by Jesus, but we haven't always been taught how to do it, or it doesn't come natural to us, or we don't feel like we're qualified to do it. Um, but we are qualified in a unique way to walk with the person next to us. All of us are.
Yeah.
We're going to convert. We're going to change the world through families and friendships
And socks.
and socks. Yeah, socks are the medium where that can take place.
Yeah, yeah. I had a unique experience. Let's see, last year I was I visited the Philippines, which of course is Catholic, very
Mhm.
Catholic country. And on the way, I got stuck in Qatar. I had a connecting flight that missed the mark, and I had to stay in the Middle East for a day. And going from I guess you would say a Christian country, the U.S., to a Muslim country, was very, very eye opening, and certainly nothing against Muslims, but I'll put it this way: they seem not very happy to see me at all,
Mm.
not at all. And then going into the Philippines, Catholic country, just oh my gosh, the embrace. And I got a chance to visit many churches in the Philippines, and I think every church I attended mass at, the a priest came up to say hello afterwards, and we had a nice. They always wanted to figure out where are you from, and then oftentimes they would say, oh, I used to be at a parish in New York City or Cleveland. They had these little stints in the U.S., and it
Yeah.
was just getting back to this thing about there's a lot of warm fuzzies around Catholicism. We're not pushy people.
Yeah.
I think there's so many nice people in the Catholic Church. Mostly, we're all trying to do the right thing, kind of mind our own business, and just nice people. So
Mm.
it was, I guess, a vote for the Philippines if anyone
There
if
you
anyone's
go.
looking for a change of scenery, but they want a strong Catholic country. There it is. Um, Speaking of Catholicism and spreading the word, your podcast, Scott, I want to make sure to
Hmm.
talk about your podcast, because I've said to you offline, this really has helped me. So, your let's see, your podcast is all set for Sunday.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, all
Yeah, all
set for
set for Sunday.
Sunday.
It's a podcast for busy and distracted Catholics to be a little more prepared for Sunday Mass, is what we say. And this is something that my friend and coworker Jeff started in. It was really during COVID time. I think we're about 4 years into this, maybe now, three or 4 years. And part of it was, to be well prepared for Mass means that you should um, try to read and reflect on the readings ahead of time, or at least be ultra present during Mass. And I have young kids, and I struggled to do that. It would be, I'd spend half my time in the narthex during a homily. I'd miss part of the readings. And this was an effort to help people connect the dots in an approachable and fun and lighthearted way on a commute, to or from work during the week. Maybe prepare for the coming Sunday or connect the dots after that particular week. But it was, to be honest, it was also a little bit of a selfish thing to hold me accountable and Jeff accountable to preparing for ourselves. To do the podcast. So it was a win-win, but it's been a joy. We do like a really quick recap of the Sunday readings. And then we interview a rotating set of priests that are friends of ours in the Indianapolis area, and we just have a little bit of a dialogue about what their homily is going to be about that weekend. And it's not a full out homily. It's not anything that's overly rehearsed. It's very much kind of think of the idea of like if you had the opportunity to sit in the front row at your parish and you had the free will to be able to like raise your hand and ask questions during the homily. That's
Yes.
kind of the feel of it. So it's been a great joy, and it's a lot of work, and it's tough sometimes, but it's always worth it.
Mm. I think one of my problems in mass for a long time, or what challenges, maybe I'll say, is just the readings. I get
Mhm.
tripped up on the readings, and I guess for full disclosure, I've never been one to pre-read the readings,
Yeah.
which maybe says a lot about me. This is all on me, but so often I would get tripped up during hearing the readings during mass, and it's almost like maybe my brain is trying to process, I wonder what that meant, and then I've missed the next sentence or two.
Hmm.
And your podcast, that fills in the gaps for me. As soon as I started listening to it, I said, oh my gosh, this is what I needed.
Yeah.
uh, and also, in your latest podcast, you mentioned a study Bible too. I think you
Mm.
mentioned two different good study Bibles. Father mentioned that
Yeah.
he suggested. And I said, "Oh my gosh, that's what I'm going to do. I got to
There you
order
go.
one of these."
I remember
So
one was the new Bishop Barron Word on Fire Gospel Bible. I can't remember what the other one was though, off the top of my head.
I don't either. I have them written down.
There you go.
Yeah, I was listening in my car, and I have there's a piece of paper I think still in my car there with those
Oh,
Bibles
right.
mentioned. So, uh, well, very good. Um, how do people, if people want to know more about Catholic concepts
Mhm.
or get involved, interact? And it seems also, Scott, like you guys are. Seems like you're always hiring, always looking for good people. How can people get involved and get in touch with you?
Yeah, CatholicConcepts.com is the main hub for where to find everything else. So if you go there, you'll learn about our different brands. You can see the roles that we're hiring for. Get a little bit of a company history and things like that. But that's a good central location.
Very good. Okay. And again, I would highly two thumbs up for the podcast. All set for Sunday for any Catholics out there who want just a little extra help, like me, understanding what's coming. So that's been great. Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope we get a chance to chat again soon, and I wish you all the best.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It was a joy.